The air hums with a quiet electric tension, as if the earth itself is holding its breath. Deep in the sun-drenched hills of southern France, a machine unlike any other is waking up. It's not just a reactor. It's a dream forged in steel and fire, a gamble on humanity's future so audacious it could outshine the stars. They call it ITER, the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, a name that barely hints at the cosmic ambition pulsing within its walls. This is no ordinary power plant. It's a vessel designed to cradle a piece of the sun, to harness the same ferocious energy that lights up the universe. And now, with a new deadline set for 2039, the world is watching, hearts pounding, as we inch closer to a moment that could redefine everything. Unlimited clean energy, the end of fossil fuels, a planet reborn, or, just maybe, a billion-dollar mirage that slips through our fingers. This is the story of ITER, the greatest scientific wager in history, and it begins with a spark of hope that refuses to fade. Picture a sprawling 180-hectare complex in the Cataract region where the scent of lavender mingles with the faint metallic tang of machinery. Here, thousands of scientists and engineers from every corner of the globe, speaking 35 languages united by a single vision, labor under the relentless Provençal sun. They're not just building a reactor, they're crafting a star on Earth. Inside ITER's heart lies the tokamak, a donut-shaped chamber that looks deceptively simple but holds the key to unimaginable power. Within its walls, hydrogen atoms will be heated to 150 million degrees Celsius, 10 times hotter than the sun's core, until they transform into plasma, a writhing, glowing state of matter that dances to the tune of magnetic fields. When these atoms collide, they fuse, becoming helium and releasing a flood of energy in a process that mirrors the stars. It's clean, nearly limitless, and uses fuel so abundant it could power humanity for millennia. A single gram of this fuel, deuterium and tritium, isotopes of hydrogen, can unleash as much energy as 51,000 liters of gasoline. Imagine that. A pinch of matter, smaller than a sugar cube, lighting up Paris for a day in just 6 minutes. But this isn't just about numbers. It's about what those numbers mean. For decades, we've burned through coal, oil, and gas, choking the planet and drawing battle lines over dwindling resources. Wars have been fought, economies shattered, and futures dimmed by our hunger for energy. ITER promises something different. A world where energy isn't a weapon or a privilege, but a shared gift. It's a vision so bold it's drawn together nations that rarely see eye to eye. The United States, China, Russia, India, Japan, South Korea, and the European Union. This isn't a French project or a European flex. It's humanity's stand against the limits of our past. Back in 1985, at the Geneva Superpower Summit, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev and U.S. President Ronald Reagan planted the seed for ITER, proposing a collaboration to tame fusion for peace, not war. That handshake across the Cold War divide has grown into a $25 billion endeavor, the largest scientific experiment ever undertaken. It's a testament to what we can do when we stop fighting and start dreaming. Yet, for all its promise, ITER is a tightrope walk over an abyss. The tokamak's plasma chamber, a marvel of engineering, is a fortress of tungsten alloy just 10 centimeters thick, built to withstand temperatures hotter than anything in our solar system. A fraction of a second's instability in the magnetic fields, those invisible hands holding the plasma in place, and the entire system could vaporize. The magnets themselves, weighing 10,000 tons and cooled to minus 269 degrees Celsius with liquid helium, are a feat of precision so delicate they consume 1% of the world's helium supply. 2 meters away, the plasma burns at 150 million degrees. That razor-thin margin between fire and ice, chaos and control, is what makes ITER both breathtaking and terrifying. Every weld, every coil, every sensor must be flawless. In 2022, a microscopic defect in a vacuum vessel weld, a flaw smaller than a grain of sand, halted progress, forcing engineers to tear apart months of work. That tiny imperfection pushed the timeline from 2025 to 2039, a reminder of how fragile this dream can be. Still, the dream endures. ITER isn't just a machine. It's a story of human defiance, of refusing to accept that the stars are out of reach. It's the late-night sweat of engineers poring over blueprints, the quiet pride of a welder perfecting a seam, the shared laughter of scientists breaking bread across cultures. It's the weight of history pressing down, urging us to get this right. Because if we do, the rewards are staggering. A successful ITER could mean energy so abundant it's practically free, powering cities, schools, and hospitals without a wisp of smoke. It could mean geopolitical rivalries softened by a shared resource, a planet no longer at odds with itself. It could mean a legacy for our children, a world where they look to the sky not with longing, but with gratitude. This is the fire ITER seeks to kindle, a fire not of destruction, but of creation, burning bright enough to light the way forward. The sun dips low over the Cataract Hills, casting long shadows across the sprawling ITER complex, where the hum of machinery never stops. It's here, in this crucible of human ambition, that the impossible is being forged. The tokamak, ITER's beating heart, isn't just a machine. It's a cathedral of science, a 23,000-ton behemoth that dwarfs everything around it. 30 meters tall, 30 meters wide, it weighs as much as 115 airliners stacked together, yet its purpose is to cradle something as delicate as a breath, a plasma hotter than the sun, held in place by magnetic fields so precise they could thread a needle through a storm. This is the middle of our story, where the dream of fusion energy takes shape, where hope and fear collide, and where the stakes couldn't be higher. Every day, the 4,500 souls working here, scientists, engineers, dreamers from 35 nations, push against the boundaries of what's possible, knowing that a single misstep could unravel decades of work. This is the crucible where humanity's future is being tested, and the world is watching, waiting for the spark that could change everything. Inside the tokamak's plasma chamber, the scale of the challenge comes into focus. This toroidal vault, vast enough to swallow the interiors of 10 passenger buses, is where the magic happens. A mere 1.57 grams of fuel, deuterium and tritium, plucked from the abundance of nature, will be injected into a vacuum-sealed chamber, then superheated to 150 million degrees Celsius. The walls of this chamber, crafted from a cutting-edge tungsten alloy, are just 10 centimeters thick, a whisper of protection against a fireball hotter than anything in our solar system. These walls don't just endure. They must capture the torrent of energy released when atomic nuclei collide and fuse, converting matter into raw power. The neutrons unleashed in this process slam into the chamber walls with relentless force, testing the limits of human ingenuity. Developing materials that can withstand this bombardment while efficiently transferring energy is like building a castle to hold a hurricane. Yet, the engineers at ITER are doing exactly that, refining alloys and testing designs in a relentless pursuit of perfection. The magnetic fields that make this possible are a marvel in themselves. Superconducting magnets, cooled to minus 269 degrees Celsius with 10,000 tons of liquid helium, form an invisible cage around the plasma. This is no ordinary feat. Those magnets, weighing as much as a small warship, must maintain their frigid precision just 2 meters from the searing plasma. The contrast is staggering. A cosmic inferno on one side, an Arctic chill on the other, separated by a gap thinner than a child's arm. The solenoid, a giant electromagnetic coil at the tokamak's core, orchestrates this delicate dance, generating an electric field that sets the hydrogen isotopes spinning in a circular frenzy. As the gas transforms into plasma, auxiliary heating systems kick in, pushing the temperature higher until the atoms collide with enough force to fuse. It's a process that feels like alchemy, turning the mundane into the miraculous, but it's grounded in the sweat and precision of thousands of hands working in unison. This isn't a solo endeavor. ITER's strength lies in its global chorus. The United States supplies cutting-edge diagnostics, China crafts precision components, Russia pioneers magnetic systems, and India delivers the massive cryostat that encases the tokamak. Japan, South Korea, and the European Union each bring their own expertise, from plasma modeling to material science. The result is a tapestry of innovation, woven from the best minds across continents. But this collaboration isn't just about technology, it's about trust. In a world often fractured by politics and pride, ITER is a rare space where rivals become partners. The stakes are too high for any one nation to go it alone. A single country controlling fusion could tilt the global balance of power, turning energy into a weapon. Instead, ITER's multinational structure ensures that the benefits and the burdens are shared. It's a fragile unity, but one that holds the promise of a world where energy unites rather than divides. Yet, the path is fraught with peril. The 2039 deadline looms like a distant star, beautiful but uncertain. The original goal of producing 500 megawatts of energy by 2025, a tenfold return on the 50 megawatts input, was derailed by a single flaw, a micron-sized defect in a vacuum vessel weld, discovered during a helium leakage test in 2022. That tiny imperfection, invisible to the naked eye, forced engineers to dismantle months of progress, pushing the timeline back 14 years. It was a gut punch, a reminder that fusion is as unforgiving as it is alluring. Every component must be perfect, every calculation exact. The vacuum system, the magnets, the cooling, all must work in harmony, or the plasma will falter and the dream will stall. Supporting reactors like France's West and Japan's JT60SA offer hope, having sustained stable plasma for 22 minutes and created the largest plasma ever at 160 cubic meters. These milestones are stepping stones, but the final leap to 2039 remains daunting. The question isn't just whether ITER will work, but whether humanity can hold fast to a vision this vast, this fragile, for long enough to see it through. As twilight settles over the Cataract Valley, the ITER complex glows softly, a beacon of human ambition against the darkening sky. The tokamak stands silent, its massive form a testament to decades of toil, yet it hums with the promise of what's to come. This is the final chapter of our story, where the threads of hope, struggle, and ingenuity weave together into a tapestry that could either unravel or endure for centuries. The 2039 deadline is no longer just a date. It's a horizon, a line between the world we know and the one we dare to imagine. Fusion energy, if ITER succeeds, could be the key to unlocking a future where energy is no longer a scarce resource fought over, but a boundless gift shared by all. Yet, the shadow of doubt lingers. The setbacks, the billions spent, the microscopic flaws that have delayed this dream, they all whisper the same question. Can we really hold a star in our hands? As we stand on the brink of this monumental leap, the story of ITER becomes not just about science, but about what it means to be human, to reach for the impossible, and to refuse to let go. The journey to this moment has been marked by triumphs and heartaches. By 2020, the ITER site had transformed from a patch of French countryside into a technological marvel, with the assembly hall completed and the first pieces of the tokamak taking shape. In May of that year, a 1,250-ton cryostat base, crafted in India and shipped across oceans, was lowered into the tokamak pit, a moment that felt like the first heartbeat of a new era. By 2021, the magnetic system, a labyrinth of superconducting coils, was fully assembled, a feat celebrated as a milestone for the ages. But then came 2022, when a helium leakage test revealed a defect in a vacuum vessel weld so small it could fit on the head of a pin. That tiny flaw stopped everything, forcing engineers to dismantle months of progress and redraw the timeline. It was a humbling reminder that fusion doesn't bow to human schedules. The 2025 goal slipped away, replaced by 2039, and with it came a wave of skepticism. Could a project this vast, this complex, ever deliver on its promise? Yet, the nations behind ITER, 35 strong from every corner of the globe, doubled down, their commitment unshaken. They know what's at stake, a chance to rewrite the rules of energy, to free the world from the grip of fossil fuels, to build a legacy that outlives us all. Beyond the steel and magnets, ITER is a crucible for innovation that stretches into the future. The project's central software team is already preparing for a world where quantum computing could redefine how we simulate materials and predict plasma behavior. These systems, compatible with the next generation of computational power, are being developed to optimize fusion's potential, ensuring that when the tokamak finally ignites, it does so with precision. Meanwhile, supporting reactors like France's WEST and Japan's JT60SA have pushed the boundaries of what's possible, sustaining plasma for 22 minutes and creating a record-breaking 160 cubic meter plasma. These achievements are more than technical victories. They're proof that we're closer than ever to taming the power of the stars. But closeness isn't certainty. The 2039 deadline, while grounded in a decade of advances in superconducting technology, it carries the weight of past delays. The original 2025 target, set in 2016, was revised just as it came within reach, raising questions about whether 2039 is a firm promise or another moving target. Still, the progress is undeniable. The tokamak structure is nearly complete, its systems inching toward harmony, and the collective will of thousands keeps the dream alive. What does success look like? If ITER achieves its goal, it will generate 500 megawatts of power from just 50 megawatts of input, a tenfold return that could light up a city the size of Paris for a day with less fuel than a thimble could hold. This isn't just about electricity, it's about liberation. A world powered by fusion could see deserts bloom with irrigated fields, hospitals hum in remote villages, and industries thrive without poisoning the air. It could mean geopolitical tensions eased as nations no longer vie for the last drops of oil. It could mean a planet where our children breathe easier, where the skies are clearer, and where the stars feel closer, not because we've reached them, but because we've brought their power to Earth. Yet, failure is also possible. The $25 billion invested could vanish into a machine that never ignites, a cautionary tale of ambition outpacing reality. But even in failure, ITER teaches us something profound, that the act of striving, of daring to dream beyond our grasp, is what defines us. The scientists who pore over data at midnight, the welders who perfect seams under pressure, the leaders who bridge divides to fund this vision, they're all part of a story that says humanity doesn't give up. As we look to 2039, ITER stands as a mirror reflecting our greatest hopes and deepest fears. It's a reminder that the path to greatness is paved with setbacks, that the biggest dreams demand the greatest patience. Whether the tokamak roars to life or falters, the effort itself is a triumph, a testament to what we can achieve when we work together, when we refuse to let borders or doubts divide us. ITER is more than a reactor. It's a story we're writing together, a story of fire and faith, of a species reaching for the stars not to conquer them, but to learn from them. As the deadline approaches, we'll hold our breath, not just for the power it might unleash, but for the truth it reveals about who we are and what we're capable of. The stars are watching, and so are we.